keep the studio in check and make the stream possible every Monday and Wednesday whenever anybody needs it. And so what I'll do is let everybody kind of talk about what they do. We'll start with Carol. We know what Gus does.
Yeah, I don't need to talk about this.
I'm a technical director for the podcast, and I also do, it's kind of like I do camera switching, like we all get to see, the wide shots, and then whoever's talking, I basically have a screen, I get to see all the different cameras that go on. Also, I'll do the countdown, which I'll usually see. Sometimes I'll do the 3, 2, 1, bye, out. And I get to always have fun and pump up everybody before the podcast starts. I love doing that.
How are you so energetic even if it's early in the morning?
I know.
I love people. Thank y'all for coming, too. It's really early, I know. So thank you. I appreciate that. And then I'll also bug Gus in his ear, which he loves so much. A lot of times he'll just look at the camera when I'll talk to him when he's not on camera, and he'll look at the camera and he knows I can see him. He'll just go.
Or my favorite is Carol will tell me, something obvious or something totally unrelated to what we're talking about. You all can't see it, but I know she can see it since she's the TV, and I'll just go.
Yeah, he's like, what?
In the camera, like, what the fuck?
No, I'll go, sorry, never mind.
Kara is constantly on details. She is so detail-oriented that I have to, she's like a dog on a leash that I have to constantly pull back. Because, the ad reads that we do in the show, the one thing I never, ever have to remind Gus to do is the ad reads. That's the one thing. And to this day, Kara in the show will go, do we need to remind Gus about the ad reads? I'm like, no. Do we need to remind Gus about the ad reads? No.
That would get you an angry look into the camera.
Oh, I've gotten that. I've learned now.
Carol also does her makeup right before the show.
Oh yeah, I also do the podcast makeup
It's
too.
a pain in the ass too because you got like Gavin and Bernie like running around like idiots, and you're trying to wrangle them in and get the
I'm like, makeup, hurry, let's go, do makeup powder. But we got it, and everything usually turns out okay. I hope, and I hope y'all like it, and I hope I don't mess up too much. So thank you.
What you don't see is that usually right up until I would say about 4 or 3 minutes till we go live. Till the show starts, I should say, we're all pretty much just running around and setting cameras and trying to get everybody on the set. I think what's funny is that since I've started, I noticed that when I first started, everyone was to the set early. And I don't know if that's because so much shit went down that they had to be ready for anything. And now it's like, they'll walk up to set 2 minutes till, and we're all freaking out because we don't know where anybody's at. Gavin's the worst.
No, he'll run in. He runs in during the countdown.
Yeah, literally, Gavin shows up to set maybe 5 minutes before we go live, then waits there 2 minutes, then decides, I need to go pee.
Yeah.
So in 3 minutes before we're supposed to go live, he gets up and runs to the bathroom, and now it's stage 5, the bathroom's nowhere near the set.
Yeah.
So he gets lost very often.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but yeah, it's a little chaotic, but it all comes together right when we hit the open.
We have not had to start a show without anyone yet. Although I think about 3 weeks ago we almost started the show without Bernie.
Mm-hmm. We got really close.
Yeah, because his chair was just empty. No one knew where he was, and in my ear, Kara was like, "Are we gonna start on time, or are we gonna wait for Bernie?" And then my reply was, "He's a big boy. He knows what time we start. If he's not here, that's his problem."
And Bernie likes to do that to Gus. He likes to put him on edge.
Scare
And
us.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh fuck it, I can talk without him." Should we move on to Clayton?
How's it going, everybody? Appreciate y'all coming out really early. Yeah, I started at Roosterteeth the Monday after South by in March, and I think my first day, I did the opening meeting where they said, this is Clayton, he's the new guy. And then somebody came up to me like, so you're mixing the podcast tonight? I was like, okay. And so I sat down. Blaine actually started it and did the intro, told me how to do all the switching, because back at the old office, I also did the, at the beginning of the show, we have the music, and then it goes to ads, and then we do the end. I had to play the ads and stop the ads. Now Patrick does that in the new setup. But Blaine ran me through all that, and then about halfway through the first show, I took over the board, and it's been that way ever since. I'm the guy, if you look through the control room, you'll see me from the neck down. behind the mix console.
Intern Blaine was doing his job of shedding all of his responsibilities.
Yeah, he did.
It was
Yeah.
pretty nuts.
Sorry, full-time Blaine was shedding his responsibilities.
So what I do is floor managing, or what I used to do is floor managing. So that basically entails going in, being on the floor of the podcast while everybody else is in the control room, and I'll be in contact with Kara. So if a camera needs to be adjusted, if Bernie has too much headroom, or something needs to happen, I need to move a camera really quick to point to something that they're talking about, then I just adjust the cameras. Sometimes we also have guests on our green screen, so I'll be the one that sets that up. That's pretty much all that floor manage does.
Yeah.
But right now, that's typically what our interns do. That was one of the first things that I did as an intern at Roosterteeth.
Yeah, Blaine was a big help to me when I first, because I joined a year ago, which I have a bone to pick.
Uh-oh.
Couple
Shit,
weeks
that's why he brought
ago
me onto this panel.
was my 1-year anniversary at Roosterteeth.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Just remember, I
And
said
no one- yeah.
congratulations.
And no one said shit.
We're bad about that. We're real bad about that. I think 1 year's when you're supposed to get your portrait done. But
Yeah.
you got your portrait done early.
Yeah,
So.
I got it done
Yeah, I
early.
did.
But my name's Patrick. I'm also known as Podrick, also known as not Patrick Rodriguez, also known as the other Patrick. So there. Oh, and in case you didn't recognize me, this is what I look like. Don't look at my face.
Now you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It all
Oh.
makes
I
sense.
wore that just for this. So anyway, so one of the things that I get asked a lot is when things go down during a podcast is like, why did that happen? And I'll tell you 9 times out of 10 we don't know. And seriously, it's like some things just happen out of nowhere, and it's not because we bumped a cable or screwed up or anything. It's just that when you're dealing with equipment the way we are in a live setting, things happen, and we have to be prepared to kind of fix it on the fly. So what you see when things happen, that's when we jump into a certain mode, and we're trying to fix things and get them corrected as quickly as we can.
Well, also, I mean, the studio we've developed and built isn't exactly, out of the box turnkey solution. We built this setup for streaming as cheaply as we could. Sometimes retrofitting parts to do things they weren't intended to do. And over time, you've been trying to replace the junk that just doesn't work with real stuff, but it's a slow process to get it all replaced and updated.
Yeah, that's why I was brought on, was to kind of, when Gus and Brandon and Lindsay, put the whole studio together. They did an awesome job with everything that they have to work with, and then they brought me in to kind of bring it to another level, so to speak. And so that's what we've been doing over the past year. And moving to stage 5 was a big part of that. Things have changed a lot, and as you've noticed, the lights changed, which made the cameras look better. So it's a lot of things that we had to get used to doing in a different way once we moved to stage 5.
Yeah, and it's fun watching all that process change. I know we have so many of these like dumb HDMI splitters. Well, the fact that we even use HDMI for these cameras, when we bought them, I walked into Best Buy. When we bought our cameras, I walked into Best Buy and I said, "What's the cheapest Sony camera you have?" And they were like, "This one." I said, "Great, I'll take 4 of them."
Yep.
And that's what we. In fact, if you look, that's one of our podcast cameras back there that's broadcasting to our stream.
Oh, nice.
We're
It's
streaming right now.
yeah, it's just a tiny little.
Nobody did the countdown.
Surprise.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny little Sony Handycam. I don't even think they make that anymore.
With a broadcast panel, of course we're streaming.
Yeah, those things are terrible. They're so small and cheap, and I think we've replaced several of them. But aren't we in the process of trying to get new ones? We tried to.
It's funny you say that. I was just looking here on the iPad to see the status of our new cameras.
Yeah.
The new cameras we've been looking at. We don't know if we're gonna buy them. One of the ones we've been looking at, Patrick saw at NAB back in May or April, and they were announced, and it was said they would be shipping June.
Mhm.
So I just checked their website, and they're still shipping June.
Is it
And
the
it's July.
Black Magic ones?
What's that?
Is it the Black Magic ones?
Yeah, we're looking at that one and then another one that Patrick liked. So
yeah.
as soon as they ship, we'll get a chance to try them out and look at them.
Are we
Guys?
trying to make the jump to a higher resolution? Is that a thing? You know,
Yeah, you'll get to see Gus in 4K.
Well, it's one of the
3D.
things we want to do. Currently, no live streaming player supports 4K streaming. So I think for now we'll get our workflow up to the point where we can support 4K and we can record everything in 4K, and then after the fact we can upload it to YouTube because YouTube supports 4K. But as far as live stream, I don't think there's any streaming service that does that currently.
That is a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of information to be streaming all at one time.
yeah.
But yeah, so we've got a lot of plans for the next year for broadcast. So if you watch the podcast in the patch, which I'm sure you do, that's why you're here, then you'll definitely see some changes coming. We have a lot of things planned for broadcast, and it's growing all the time. We're adding staff as well, so it's going to be a big year for us, I think.
Yeah, in fact, the broadcast division used to be just you as the only dedicated employee, and you just got your first official dedicated employee
Yeah.
to help you out was Marielle, who's not here today, unfortunately.
She died. No,
What?
Jesus, I'm fucking joking.
I
But again,
know.
it's someone who started as an intern.
Yeah.
At Roosterteeth, she used to intern at the old location. I think she interned at Stage 5 for one show before her internship ended.
Yeah.
And we brought her back in.
And she did the moving van podcast.
Yeah.
Was her last one.
Then she showed up the next week to say thank you for the internship, and she brought us
Cookies.
from Tips Treats, and,
And
we
then
put
she
her
got
we put her
hired.
to work.
Yeah, and we're like, hire that girl.
She wasn't even hired yet. She was just visiting to bring the cookies.
Oh, that's right.
And then we put her to work like, hey, can you go adjust that camera? Can you do this? Can you do that? We were already, bossing her around doing stuff. Then
Yeah.
we went ahead and hired her and brought her in after that.
Mariel's
Yeah.
really cool. Typically, we pull from TSTV students. The Texas Student Television is like Brandon and Bernie had their start in.
Mhm.
So a lot of our interns come from like a broadcast background already. So
Yes.
I'm just saying, just information.
Like still, even yesterday, if I ever give Muriel any shit now, she just goes, "What do I look like, an intern to you?"
Whoa.
So intern Mariel and full-time Mariel did not take the same path.
Oh,
that
no, they
intern
don't.
Blaine and
I like
full-time
it.
Blaine took. We like Mariel more.
Sorry,
It's all right.
Blaine.
It's okay.
She didn't abandon us.
Yeah.
Jerk.
She doesn't challenge us to push-up contests.
I still eat you guys' pizza. Hang out with you.
Well, I do have to hand it to Blaine. He still helps us move the sets, which is something you
muscle
guys
helps.
haven't been. I know Bernie's talked about on the podcast, and you haven't been able to see it yet. But the new setup at Stage 5, all the sets are on rolling platforms, and these platforms hold about 2 tons, and they each have, I think, 8 industrial casters underneath that help us push them. And when they built them, the idea was in Studio 5, we would just rotate them out under the new lighting grid, as we needed them, which on paper sounded great and looked great. And then we moved in and we saw them and we realized we have no room to move these.
We have
'Cause
about
they-
2 inches of clearance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Literally between both
We-
the
we-
platforms
we-
we got to move.
We've started using nautical terminology when we're pushing it. Who's ever calling out? You're about to run aground. Starboard side.
You have to. Please tell me someone puts on like a pirate hat, like a pirate captain's hat.
I'll do
We
it.
go, oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Patrick hits the drum.
Yeah, I guess always freaks out because his office is right up against the studio, so he can hear when we're doing this, and he'll always hear me going, "Wait! You're hitting the wall! You're hitting the wall! You're hitting the
No,
wall!"
all I hear is, okay. Stop! Wait, no!
Someday
Oh my
that thing's just
God.
gonna crash through Gus's office.
It's hard because they are casters, but they're basically shopping cart wheels, but bigger. So the problem is they do turn randomly if you're not careful. So you'll start pushing and it'll start just drifting left, and you're like, "We're going left, we're going
Drifting
left."
port.
There it goes. Yes,
Yeah.
port.
Huge.
Not
But I think it was like last week. Me and Patrick went out to lunch together, and we both had double cheeseburgers. And then we came back, we're like, "Oh, we have to move the sets." So we start pushing this 2-ton set, and like immediately we were like, "Oh, cheeseburgers were a bad choice."
idea. Bad idea. Yeah, we have to strategically think about when we're going to move the sets because if it's a little hot in the studio, we're definitely going to break a sweat, and it's not pretty for the to sit in a small room together. But let me. So I want to show you a little concept art that from the podcast set. This is the latest set. Oh, by the way, what do y'all guys think of the new couch? Like it? We were nervous about that.
We spent as typical. I dragged my feet forever on it. I kept getting told by Bernie that we needed to update it, but I just didn't. My philosophy is always, if it works, don't change it. And I didn't want to change it, but Bernie said he hated that couch so much, he threatened to destroy it if I didn't change it. Because then he said if he broke it, then I'd be forced to buy a new one. So yeah, I mean that's why we ended up having to go with this.
Yeah, we Gus, when we first talked about getting a new couch, which was months ago, we were still in the annex.
Yep.
And Gus, Kara, and I spent a whole afternoon couch shopping, and we didn't see a single thing we liked. And we would see things, and Gus like, nah.
Gus decides to go on his own personal shopping detour while we're going shopping. He's like, wait, no, I like that for myself. He finds this huge, what was it, a
There's a
cow
carrot.
hog?
What?
The big cow chair that you loved.
The zebra chair?
Oh, zebra. It was zebra. It's early, but it was a zebra chair, and he really, really wanted it, and he sat down in it, and he really looked like he belonged, like he was king of the jungle or something like that. It was $20,000, so we couldn't get it.
Apparently zebras are expensive. We actually started the couch selection process when we got the white and black chairs that Bernie and I sit in. You know, previously when we first started the podcast, we had these shitty little fabric chairs. And before Patrick was hired, Kara and I went shopping, and we found these black and white chairs at the black and tan chairs at a vintage resale shop here in Austin. And I liked them so much we bought them. And then we said, great, these new chairs are awesome. Let's buy a couch to match it. And then we never could find anything we really liked, and the process dragged on to finally we got this one.
Yeah, well, I think what's funny is that we dragged this process on and on and on. I probably looked at, between Kara and I, we probably looked at 1,000 couches online.
Probably over that.
Yeah, and I'm not kidding. And I think it's funny that it just took Bernie to say, get a couch, I'm going to destroy the one you got. And we found this one in 2 days. And it was maybe one of 20.
Yeah, and in the end, you know, when he said that, I think you had narrowed it down to maybe 6 or 7 that you showed me. And I think there were 2 that stood out. It was this one, and then there was that other one that everyone just said I was crazy for liking, the one with the circles.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Was another one that we thought about getting.
But so this is what the set looks like now. But I found this concept art of an idea the guys had, and I wanted to ask us what the hell they were thinking.
Well, we actually, this was going to be the original concept for the podcast desk. Was more like there's a British quiz show, I forget what it's called, QI. Yeah, and we thought that they had a great setup where it's one person in the middle and then 2 people on either side of them, and each of them would have a panel. I don't know, it looks like a stove there, but each of them had like a panel they could look down on with information or an iPad or something, and there were TVs on the front of the desk so other people could see what they were looking at or what they were talking about. So this was the original concept, and in fact, we built this desk. We had someone an intern who was working with us, build it, and we put it, you know, on set, and we looked at it, and it just didn't work. So we literally put it in the dumpster.
I know, it was
Yeah.
sad.
Someone spent months working on it. We put it in front of the set, and it was like, no, it's not going to work. And then, like, through his teary eyes, he had to like take his work and then put it in the dumpster.
Destroying dreams.
I saw footage of that. It was like Chris and Brandon were really happy, and they were like taking like an axe or something at it. They were just destroying this thing. The intern was just like wrecked.
Yeah. Well, I think they had they were stressed out about another production, so they like took out their frustrations on the desk, literally with an axe in a dumpster.
Yeah, so now we'll move on to the patch, and this is our new set. What do you guys think of the new set? Yeah, we're really happy with it too. This is something that took a long time to do, mainly because we couldn't find anybody to design it for us. We spent months trying to find somebody, and it seems like every set designer in Austin was busy. And we finally found one guy. He gave us 3 really great designs, and then when we was like, all right, let's do it, and he goes, oh, I can't. My schedule is full now. So I mean, we had just waited maybe a day or two, and
Hmm.
we lost him like that. So it took another couple of months before we found a designer who had the time to work with us, and by that time it was December.
Yeah.
And so we started working on it. And what's funny about this set is that when the original, you know what it looks like now, but this was the original design that he gave us right there. And as you can see, it's hard to tell what it is. Um, Gus and I saw it when he explained it to us. He based it, the influence came from the movie Her and the office that he works in, and that's where he got the influence for this. And you want to tell him what happened with Bernie?
Yeah. So we were like, oh, it's great. You know, it all sounds good. Let's go forward with this. And we started the process of getting it done. And then we realized we didn't ever tell Bernie what we were doing. And he's like, you know, what's going on with the new set? He's like, oh, here, check it out. And of course, Patrick and I knew exactly what this was because we'd had the designer explain it to us. So we just sent this to him, and he was like, "This is terrible. What is this?" He's like, "It's just purple lines. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like if you looked at that with no context, it makes no sense." So we had to bring the designer back in to like re-explain everything because we were terrible at it, and then get sign off on it.
Yeah, Bernie kept saying, "I don't see it. I just don't see it." I'm like, it's gonna be really cool, and he's like, "I don't see it. I don't see
Yeah,
what you guys
I
see."
think Matt also was a little concerned about it, but they let us continue with it, and I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah. The thing that when they built the set, they finished it the night before we debuted it on the patch, which happens a lot. And this thing is a monster. I've got a picture of it that I'll show you in a minute, but this thing is a monster. It's huge, and it's all made out of wood, light wood. And so when they built it facing the wrong way on the platform. So the night that they
Smart.
finished it, and the thing was, every time I checked on it, because they built it there in stage 5, they started building it before we even moved in. And the thing about the platform is that every time I walked in, I was like, "That's gonna, how are we gonna move that? That's gonna be so heavy." And so they finished it the night before. I'm like, "Okay, but we can move it, right?" And they're like, "Let's try." They'd never moved the set on the casters, so myself and the 2 designers and Brian, our graphics guy, came in to help, and it took us 2 hours to move it from its original position facing the wrong way to turn it around and then put it under the lights. And the designer's like, "See, it moves." Like, okay.
That wasn't the only problem we had with that. Didn't we have some issues with the lights, like right before pre-show, the lights flickering?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so we decided to have a camera test early in the morning, so just to make sure it worked. And so we came in, we turned it on. Bernie walked in. He goes, "Oh my god!" He's like, "This is great. This is awesome." We turn the cameras on, and the thing is just flickering like crazy.
Strobes
Every
flying.
single light is just flickering, and my stomach sank, my heart sank. I was like, "I'm gonna get fired." And thankfully, our lighting guy, the guy who built our lighting grid, was there, and he goes,
Walter.
"Oh, you just got to do this." And he turned up the lights with the little remote that we have, and it was gone. Thank God he was there.
It's just like a frequency.
I think it was the first thing I did was like I was like I don't know anything about lights, but I'm gonna Google this, and it was that like unless you're buying like the absolute most expensive LEDs, the way they do different color temperature is by turning off and on really fast to make your eyes think it's a lighter color. And we don't notice it, but cameras certainly do.
Yeah.
And that's because they're bad cameras.
So we had to find the exact right colors that the cameras didn't notice the
Yeah,
flicker
it
on.
was color and intensity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once we get our new cameras where we can adjust shutter speed, it won't be an issue, and we'll actually be able to change all of those lights to different colors.
Yeah, all those lights do change colors too.
And
so
if
we
you
get to pick.
if you watched the Indiegogo live stream, they had a different color scheme for that one.
Yeah,
I think it was blue.
blue and white. We took the
Mhm.
gels out of the really bright ones in the back. Kara came into play I guess it was 2 weeks. We debuted the set, and I don't know if you remember, but the first couple weeks we had different colors on the set. And Kara came up to me, and she's always kind of nice about when she comes up to me about things, and she was like, "Do you think those are the right colors for the set?" And I always know that she's like not happy with what I've done, so I'm like, well, "What do you want to do?" And so we played with the colors until they got just right, and I think she was absolutely right about what to do with them.
Oh, thank you, Patrick.
But
Do y'all like the colors? Looks good. Awesome. Cool.
so this is the back of the set, the original concept, and it was the cabinets and would hold the lights, and then there's just some standard platforms. Which to me, when I saw this, I thought that's going to be light enough. That's no big deal. It should be fine. This is what it actually looks like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny. You look at a set from the front, you're like, it's definitely designed to be viewed from one specific angle. You'd like just walk around it, and it's like it's a mess.
Yeah.
You also noticed in that picture too, we had the giant platform, and then they had this wings that fly out. Didn't they? The set was just too big, so they had to build these additional wings onto it.
Hold on, let me point at them.
Yeah. Which that adds a lot of weight, and then they also didn't put wheels on
They
those,
drag.
so it's impossible.
You see it
to
right
do this
here.
thing. Yeah.
This is the platform that it's supposed to have been built on, but then they had to extend it with this wing right here that sits on.
Yeah, there's one on either side, and because it drags, it makes it harder to move. So one of us has to pick that wing up while the other two people push.
Right there.
Lasers.
Ooh, fancy.
Laser team coming in 20 whatever.
And you'll also notice there's a mic stand for some reason here.
Yeah, it's been there
Totally
forever.
unneeded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's extra weight.
I didn't put it there. That wasn't me.
It's storage now. It's portable storage. But that's the front. That's what it looks like with the lights off. That's something you guys have never seen. I think it's still pretty without the lights on. It's just a different look, but definitely kind of cool. And you can see up at near the top the new lighting grid and new light system that we have that makes Gus look real pretty now.
No.
I will say, I think the last time I moved the set with you and Muriel, it was just Patrick, Muriel, and I think we moved it, and we moved that one out, and we moved the Monday podcast set in about 12 minutes flat.
Yeah, we're really proud because we did a blameless move, and and that's because I had to prove Bernie wrong because he kept saying that we can't move it without Blaine.
Proud of you guys. I'm proud of you.
You hear that, Blaine? We don't need you.
Yeah. Get out.
But that's what the platform looks like just by itself. This is actually the platform that the podcast set sits on. I took this after we packed it all up to bring it here. You can see the new couch kind of sitting by itself, all lonely.
How much was that new couch? Out of curiosity.
$2,000?
About
It's not
Yeah.
bad.
It's a fancy couch.
yeah.
So we made the conscious decision to not bring the new couch as part of the set since it just had one episode. We felt like to bring it here, the more iconic couch is the old couch, so that's why it came as the part of the set.
We didn't want you guys blasting farts into our new couch. Is really what it comes down to. So
I think about that a lot actually. When I'm on set, I think about how many farts have been put into
I've
that old couch.
slept in that couch. I'm like, this was at RTX for like 2 years.
Yeah, it's pretty ratty. I mean, there's so many drinks have been spilled on that couch.
Yeah.
Joe the cat has been on it a few times.
Pissed on it,
so,
man.
So this is what our new control room looks like
That's where I
in
sit.
stage 5, and this is something that you guys don't see from the camera view. You can see our soundboard and where Kara sits. That's the opposite view. To the far right is where I sit, and that's kind of what you see from the pre-roll.
Yeah, so if you're
camera.
a sponsor and you watch, the pre-show, this gets cut out for the normal version. The camera's up in this corner, facing down, so it's up here somewhere. You just can't see it.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of controls going on, and you can see how it'd be easy to mess up. So it's really crazy that we're able to, get all the audio out and make all of the, cameras and switching and everything work pretty well most of the time.
Pretty much all those computers serve a purpose too. Like even the
Yeah.
one that's in the far right corner runs the music into the switcher, right, or the board.
and records our audio.
Yeah.
GarageBand.
It's a
version.
very, very complex system. It'd be impossible to like replicate it and just tell somebody to fly with it. We have to know it really well. So
But
Are we that boring?
yeah, the one thing about this room that
shots fired. Called out.
the one thing about this room that also is a facade is that it's a room. There is no ceiling on it, which I don't know why it doesn't have a ceiling. It was supposed to have one, but there is no ceiling, and so now we have to be really quiet when we're talking in the room.
which is hard
It-
for me.
I shush people a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure now that you listen to it, you probably hear us in the background, or you hear Kara.
Probably hear
Right?
me.
No, but I've heard her where she's like, roll it and pause when we're doing ad reads. And so we all have to be quiet. And so when things are happening or go down, we're all like, what is it? I don't know what's going on. And we're having to be, and I can tell when they can hear us on the set because they'll turn toward us. And I'm like, and Kara is, I don't know what it is about Kara's frequency, but she can whisper and you can still hear her on the audio
Her
thing.
voice carries.
I'm a girl.
I just like that we can always hear your gasp whenever anybody says anything offensive.
I know. Well, there's no ceiling, and it's actually we look right onto the set, so those are windows right there, which is really cool because when we were over in the annex in our old office building, we were in a completely different room, so we couldn't see them actually on set. The only thing we could see is the camera. So it's really cool now to be able to look at actually the cameras going on, and then be able to turn my head and actually see them and see their actual reactions, or if they're like. I can actually do that too, so I don't have to just rely on the cameras to see. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the tough part about having to be quiet is that when something goes wrong, it's tough to talk to each other about something. Kara was sitting. We were doing the patch, and Ashley was sitting in for Gus, and she didn't have an earpiece in, so we couldn't talk to her the way we talked to Gus. And Kara was having a fit at the switcher, and I couldn't understand why. And she just kept going, Ashley, I can't talk to Ashley. I can't talk to Ashley. I'm like, what? And she's like, and she just gets up in the middle of the show and walks away from the switcher. I'm like, where the hell are you going? Ashley had a hair across her face that was driving her crazy. And
Hey,
she
I
had to
noticed
get
it.
up and tell her. And I mean, that's detailed, Kara.
Yeah, and it's also crazy too because you can see like right there all of the different framings that go on. That's what Blaine was talking about as far as headroom goes. So much space y'all actually see when we're watching it. So sometimes I have to constantly look as people will slouch a little bit or sit up a little bit, and that will actually really affect like how you see it on the computer screen. So that's when I have to tell Blaine through the thing, hey, we need more headroom. Hey, we need to adjust this shot. So you just have to constantly be looking at a lot of different things. So you have to be really on top of it and really pay attention. So I think that helps being detail oriented a little bit. With that,
Yeah, I think the thing that's tough about doing these shows is that we get wrapped up in the shows just like you do, and we start watching them and having fun and laughing, and we forget where we're at, and we'll forget to switch cameras or and it's easy to get distracted because the other thing that you guys don't see is that there are people constantly coming into the control room to ask me questions like, where's the screwdriver? So I'm like, it's right there. And then I'll turn around, and especially during the patch, I lose place of what they're talking about. And I was like, what are they talking about? What game are they talking about? And they're like, oh, I don't know.
I've learned
so
to block it out. I just have to. I sometimes don't even know what they're saying just because I'm so focused on who's talking and when, not really what they're talking about. Because if I try to really play along with the story and listen to them, then I'll get distracted, like Patrick was saying, to where it is like, oh, that's really awesome. Oh, wait, they're not even talking. I need to switch. Oh, no. And then I have to realize that. So now it's just to the point of I have to look and see, okay, whose mouth's about to start moving? All right, cool, switch, go. So I don't even know. So Patrick's always like, what are they talking about? I'm like, I have no idea.
There's also TVs facing into the guys that are on set, so they can see what you guys are seeing. And
Yeah.
sometimes if Kara makes like a weird cut or something, Gus will just be like if the camera's just on Gus, he'll just be like.
Or the worst is sometimes Carol will ask questions and I need to give like a thumbs up for a yes or a thumbs down for a no, and she'll ask me a question and I look to the camera to give my answer, and then she'll cut the camera to me right away. I'm like,
I've gotten better about that. Shut up, guys.
So if you ever see me giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down during the video podcast, that's what it is. Kara's asking me a question,
Or this,
and I'm trying to reply.
I don't want to hear you, Kara. That's what this means. So
It was interesting because I was training Cole to use the soundboard about a week ago, and I've been doing this for so long because I used to work events like this where I'd be mixing this, where he was just watching. I noticed he was just watching the podcast, Like he would start laughing, and you all would start laughing. And I'd be like, "Turn it down,
Yeah.
turn it down," and he would be like, "It's funny." And it's like, "No, you're working." And so I did train him to not watch the main monitor, but to watch the singles, so you can see who's about to start yelling.
Mhm.
I was like, you gotta. It's hard. You got to, because we get wrapped up in it. You have to remove yourself from the content.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
Kara is probably the most chill technical director I've ever worked with, and
Believe
it's
it
so
or not.
funny because she just has her hand on the keyboard and she's just switching with her fingers and just
Oh, and I have to have my feet up usually.
yeah. Show them
always
show
funny.
them how you're.
This is my podcast position, which is funny
Her
because if anybody
professional.
walks in, it looks like I'm like lounging and not doing anything. But for some reason, this gets me in the zone. I have to sit like this. I sit like this. I have my feet up like this, and I have a switcher like this. My thing like this. That's it. That's all I do. Awesome, right?
She's a pro.
Easy job.
She got it down.
So the interesting thing about the system we use is, in order to save money, we bought a video switcher that doesn't come with a panel. Like normally, you look at a broadcast switcher and it's a panel with a bunch of physical buttons you hit to do your switching between cameras. So instead, we have this one with a software interface. Normally, all of these buttons would be on a hardware interface. So the one we have is software based. So you use your keyboard
Yeah.
and you bind the keys on the keyboard to the buttons up there. So you can use a mouse and click on those buttons up here, but Kara just binds them to keys on the keyboard and you can just
I
switch
use
that way. Because if you wanted, so we bought this, it was just, the video switcher was a couple $1,000s. If you wanted to buy the physical switcher with all of those buttons, it was another $15,000. So rather than spend $15,000, we just got a laptop graciously donated by Razer. So we use that to do all of our switching.
You also have the app on your iPad that you can do switching. So
Yeah.
Did you guys used to do that before?
We only do that occasionally, like when we're running
Live
a 24-hour stream and, there's something going on in the middle of the night. And we don't want to staff a full crew.
Yeah.
You can switch from this iPad. And also, the interesting thing about this is you can have multiple computers running the software at the same time. So in theory, you could have like dueling technical directors fighting each other, and even the iPad could fight them at the same time.
That's happened.
Yeah,
I run
that's
it on my
good.
computer at the same time, just in case I have to make an adjustment, and Kara can keep switching. And when I first started doing that, I didn't realize that when I click on it on my computer, it switches to what I have it set at. And she was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "It switched. I didn't touch it." And I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, and then we kept on, and then I would hit mine, and she goes, "It did it again. What's it going? What is this?" And we finally figured it out. But so we're ready to answer some questions.
Sure. So I guess if people want to line up here in the middle, I'm going to go up there with the microphone because I've got the mobile one, and I'm going to
Guys
talk
took
to you.
it. Oh, you're going to talk to them. Are you going to be the mic stand technically?
I'm the mic stand.
All right.
It's gonna be
There's
among
no
the
need to
people.
cheer for that. There's no pandering.
Woo!
All
I
right,
cheered.
what's up, man? You got a question?
Yeah, I was just curious about everyone's education background, or did they learn as they go?
Education. Why don't you start, Blaine?
I got a film degree, a radio television film at UT, and then I just did some volunteering for broadcast. But I don't work for broadcast, so.
I've got a bachelor's and a master's degree in sound design and film and television from the Savannah College of Art and Design. And then I worked for about 5 years professionally, both doing post-production for film and television as well as working many live events like this. And in fact, I think it was Friday I noticed that this was the first time I've ever been in the convention center without wearing equipment. This is the first time I ever just attended anything.
I went to Texas State. Woo, Bobcats. If anybody is in San Marcos, awesome. And I studied communication studies and I minored in electronic media. And it was a lot of fun. So definitely just try to do something that you think that you want to get in that area in. And then also experience really helps too, just learning and practicing and doing things. And I learned a lot, from Brandon and even Patrick too, just from all the work that he's done in the past.
Well, also, to just speak to that for a second, I
Uh-huh.
think it's important to talk about experience. I guess you want to stand over here. It's important to talk about experience with Kara specifically because when we hired Kara, we hired her to be our office coordinator, and then she was just around production so much and learned so much about how we do what we do that she began moving around in her job and I guess I don't want to say graduated, but moved from office coordinator to more production stuff.
Yeah, when I started, I was shocked because I'd been watching Kara switch, and I was shocked that this was the first time she'd ever done anything like this. I was really impressed, and because I'd worked with a lot of people who had ex- experience in a studio and couldn't switch as well as she did. So.
Thank you.
Patrick?
Oh, I went to a television school in Dallas and worked for a CBS affiliate, small CBS affiliate in West Texas, for 14 years, and then I was at Fox for 7. Um,
So when we decided that we needed someone to take over, our broadcast operations, we actually interviewed a lot of people. We made a couple of job postings about it, and God, I can't even tell you how many people applied. I guess a lot of people who do similar broadcast things in television are trying to get out of television and get onto the internet. So we definitely talked to people from all over the place, and we thought Patrick had the best skill set. It seemed like when we talked about his work at the West Texas affiliate, it was a lot of what we needed. It was someone who could be remote and have a limited set of equipment and try to figure out how to pull off a production with the resources available at hand. And so that's why we brought Patrick on a year and a couple of weeks ago.
Woohoo! And Patrick's been awesome since then. He's really
Thanks.
helped brought everything together.
And I dropped out of college. I went to Rice in Houston, and I studied cognitive science, which is basically like the study of artificial intelligence and artificially intelligent systems. But
Nerd.
I decided that I wanted to get rich on the internet, so I moved to Austin to try to find a tech company to work for, and nobody would hire me. So I ended up working at a call center, and that's how I met Bernie and Jeff and Matt and Joel, and we got this shit going. All right.
He
He asked what school in Dallas?
What school in Dallas? It was called the Video Technical Institute. It's basically a Vo-Tech place. It's not there anymore. It was a branch of Berkeley out of California. It's similar to Art Institute and places like that. But what I liked about that school particularly was that it was focused on television. I mean, you learned, it was like an RTF program in 2 years. And I know there are others like that out there. And I was the type of person that I just didn't want to learn all the other stuff. I wanted to do, the stuff, the TV stuff. And that's what I learned. And one of the things about this type of industry that I've learned is that, and I don't want to deter anybody from going to school. Parents will hate me for that. But the thing is that you do need some education in it because it does give you a leg up when you get into it. Because when I started working in West Texas, what I found in the small towns that have TV stations, they hire a lot of people just off the street and they train them on the job. And so when somebody with an education applies, they love you and they treat you like royalty and you make a little more money than everybody else. And so you can make a really good living in small towns and cities, just with a 2-year degree. So it's a good place to start. And then if you're hungry to learn, which I was, I mean, I learned everything. I did everything. I did commercial production, I did graphics, I did audio, I did producing, which is what led me to this because I had all this background, which is what I do now. I use all of that. So it's one of the things that I tell people if you're interested in this industry and you really want to get ahead, is that starting small is the best way you can go because there they will really appreciate somebody with an education. And you can when I left there, they were actually trying to groom me for a general manager of the station, and I was on that track, but that's not what I wanted. But if that's what you want to do, then definitely start small because you can get some great experience there.
All right, here you go. Next.
So Gus just kind of mentioned this about people who work in like local broadcasts trying to get into internet TV. And I've been working in local news for like 8 years. So what advice would you give for somebody who wants to get away from traditional TV and into more like internet broadcasts? Because it seems like, especially with what you guys do, you're emulating TV. You're not just sort
Right.
of doing like, oh, I don't know, we don't know anything about TV. So what advice would you give to people who want to move away from normal broadcast to more internet streaming?
I would say look at a lot of these startup companies because a lot of them are starting to do what Rooster Teeth did, and that is they're starting to bring in video departments. It's funny, we were doing shooting a commercial for Loadout, and the game developers were there and brought some of their staff. And one of the guys on their staff is a guy I used to work with at Fox. And I was like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, they just started a video department, and I got hired on there." And so we were talking about how interesting it was that we made that transition. We were the lucky ones to make that transition. I would say that look at startup companies, talk to whoever you can, and be prepared to make a little bit less at a startup company. But because the nice thing about big corporations and big TV stations is that they've been around for a while, so they've got money, they've got equipment, they've got all this stuff. But it really comes down to what is it that you love to do, and is it worth taking a risk? And I took a risk, and I love what I do, and I wouldn't go back to TV for anything. So yeah, just keep your eyes open, apply anywhere you can, and be versatile to it. But yeah, definitely look at startups because a lot of them are definitely taking the video route.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think early on we were really honest with Patrick. We told him we're not looking to hire someone who's then going to hire a crew to do all of this. We're looking to hire someone to be the crew and the end-to-end solution.
And I was. Yeah.
Hi. Just like a question, watching like the live streams that you guys do, like the 24-hour ones, and like the patch and the podcast, being either on the like in front of the camera, or behind the camera, which one of those broadcasts is like the hardest to put on? Either be in front of it or like produce it.
I was gonna say, typically with a live stream, we don't really have a crew. We have a very low skeleton crew. I think for the 12-hour live stream, you were doing live switching the entire time, which that was incredible. By the way, he was in the control room for 12 hours switching the cameras. But during the 24-hour ones, I think we mentioned it earlier, we have the iPad that has the switcher, so we'll actually be doing it on the stream. But I don't know, what were you guys gonna say?
I would say each show is different in its demands. The podcast is different because we don't know what they're going to talk about. And so one of the things that I do on Monday night is I sit at my computer, and as soon as they start talking about earwax, I'm trying to find a good picture that won't gross Gavin out, and that is funny to show. And so that's kind of the rush there. The patch, it's more technical. Gus provides me a list of a long list of all the possible topics. So we have to prepare all those videos and pictures and stuff. And we use a third of them maybe. So that's more technical because we have to be on top of what they're talking about. So really the biggest thing about all the shows that we do is that we have to be prepared for anything that can happen, whether it's a camera going out or the internet going out. If any of you saw the Indiegogo 12-hour stream, it was flawless up until the last 15 minutes, and we had to scramble. And it just caught us off guard. We just never know when things are going to go down. So we just we can have fun, but we constantly have to be prepared for something jumping out of nowhere.
You gotta be on your toes.
I know that for me, the one of the more complicated ones we did recently was the Rockstar live stream that we did where they played GTA 5. Mostly because they were doing their own live stream simultaneously, and they wanted to be able to talk back and forth while we were both live separately. And just having that extra little bit of difficulty added a whole bunch of wires to the set and just different troubleshooting problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is that anytime there's a third party involved or we're on location, anything that's different from our normal environment, that definitely is a new challenge altogether.
On it podcast.
Yeah, and what Gus likes to call a learning experience.
You learn from it, man.
Yeah.
So you can see here as an example, like these are the notes I took for an episode of the patch. You see, it's just like a whole bunch of topics that we don't necessarily cover. This is the one from the 18th. And so this is all stuff Patrick has to look at all of these links and then pull videos and assets.
I have to
for
look
all
at
of
the
them.
links, and then if it's a story, I usually look at the website it came from or the press release. And because as a producer, you want to be prepared as much for the guys, because when they're talking about stuff, if you can call things up quickly, then it gives you guys context, and it helps them out. So you constantly have to be prepared about that.
And we keep talking about the iPad version of that switcher, and you can see it right here. I don't know if I can hold it up for everyone, but it's essentially the same thing that Kara has on her screen, just much smaller in touchscreen here. Ooh, it's like 2001. I think from being on camera, from an on-camera perspective, I think the more challenging one is RT podcast, just because with the patch, since we already have a list of notes and topics to talk about, it's a lot easier to transition from topic to topic. Whereas RT podcast has literally no preparation. We sit down, like we talked about, 3 minutes before the broadcast starts, and we say, what are we going to talk about? Like, you have to have a topic, you have to think of something to start with, and then hope that you can have a 90-minute conversation that branches off from that starting point. And there's a lot of pressure with that. Sometimes I'll sit there, and then a 2-second or 3-second period of silence will pop up, and it'll rattle me. Like, I'll think, oh shit, we ran out of stuff. This is going to be it. This is the podcast. We ran out of stuff to talk about. And that's like, it may be imperceivable to the listener, but when I'm sitting there on camera and like a 2-second pause comes up, I think this fuck. And then my brain just locks up, and I can't think of a single thing to talk about. It's awful. All right, hey, what's up, man?
I just want to say I'm a soldier out of Fort Hood. I want to say thank you for RTX and Red versus Blue.
Thank you.
It's been the most entertaining I've had since being here in Texas. And also the drunk tank. And whenever I could get internet, whenever I was deployed, those were some of the made the days a little bit better. And
Glad to hear it, man. Thank you.
Well, I guess more of a Red versus Blue during the first couple seasons. I like the fact that you sent Dino off to get like headlight fluid and elbow grease, which is some of my first years as a private. And I was wondering, are you going to incorporate any other euphemisms like grid squares, chem light batteries, go off to get Florence BA11 or a pin 15?
My favorite one we never used was sending someone to get some flight line. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them. I think Miles is the person who is riding that now. For a long time, it was Bernie who did all of the riding, but that's all in Miles' court now. So we'll see. It's up to him.
I was just saying, you got a new season and you got brand new privates and stuff that you can just screw with them now, even though they are Republic or whatever rebels and stuff.
Well, also, during the 343 panel yesterday, they announced the new Gun Goose and the new vehicle, some new stuff for the upcoming Master Chief collection. So, we have a new toolbox to play with.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Okay, so we have just a few minutes,
yeah.
So we'll try and answer questions quickly.
We'll do rapid fire.
Speed round.
Lightning round. No more people getting into the line, please. We're going to cap it. I don't know if we'll get through everyone here, but we're going to do our best.
Just want to know, like, comfort-wise, I know you got those lights on you all the time. Blaine's running around the floor. You've got the patch panel or box looks really cramped. I don't know if you're playing footsies with Bernie the whole time, or you're like, oh, it's another week.
This is the lightning round, dude.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, is it comfortable? Does it suck, like, getting in there and being cramped?
It's actually not that cramped. I hear people say the patch set looks cramped. There's actually also, like, a box down there, so you can't really kick other people's feet. And I think it's about the same size as the other patch table. It's maybe a couple inches smaller.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
Hey, Gus, can I go to the bathroom?
You gotta wait. That's another thing. You don't see it on camera a lot. People, during RT podcast, people will text me, or when they're not on camera, they'll ask me, how long? Like, they need to pee. They're like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I'll tell them, like, we just have a few more minutes.
Miles doesn't make it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I'm dying right
Jerk.
now.
All right, what's up, man?
If Gavin hasn't already spilled something on the couch, how long do you think it's going to be before it happens?
He spilled something the first night.
Yeah, he did.
He did. It was already done.
Yeah, he did. That's why it's leather.
Step up. Let's go.
Which one is each of yours worst or greatest fears about specifically with your position, like going wrong?
I'm always terrified for the people that are on camera who might say something that shouldn't be said, and then everybody's just like, fuck,
Well, even here, before you all came into the room, we didn't realize that the stream was on. and we started doing mic tests.
Christ.
And I picked up the mic and I said, boobs, butts, penis, vagina. And a tech guardian came running in here to mute the stream.
For me, it's a feedback loop. Because if a mic goes down or we lose a signal, I have extra cables so I can sneak out and swap a mic or something real quick. But feedback loop is just one of those things. Since we don't have a roof, if it happens, everybody knows it happens. Like everybody knows you fucked up right away. So that's mine.
I'm always worried if I accidentally have my fingers on the wrong buttons because it's really easy to obviously switch, like just get one over and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, oh no, I've been doing the wrong, oh no, oh my gosh. So I'm always constantly looking to make sure right place.
Something falling over on set. Biggest fear.
True.
And what you don't know now is, or couldn't see back then, is in the annex over the logo, we had a Kino light that was hanging over the logo, directly over Gavin and Barbara's, over the couch, held by a C-stand. That's it. The first day I walked in, on my first day, and I walked in and I saw that, I'm like, how in the hell are they getting away with that? and so every time we had to take it down and put it up for stuff, for days after that, I was so nervous that it was just going to come down during the show.
What's funny is I was never nervous about it until Patrick asked me about it on his first day, and I thought, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That could really hurt someone. Never even thought about it.
Blaine, last year you were a guardian, and now you're on your own panel. How does that feel?
It's not his own panel, for the record.
We don't even know why he's here.
It's pretty cool. No, it's really surreal.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
We have to keep his ego in check.
But besides increasing the resolution for both the RT podcast and the patch, are there any other new innovations you guys are trying to maybe implement soon?
Yeah, actually, we are working on bringing in a new graphic system and a new video playback system, which will add some really cool graphics to the shows. That's something that is probably going to happen here really soon. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, if it all works.
Yeah, the way we do video playback currently is we have another computer. So essentially, the other computer is from the perspective of this camera, and that computer will essentially just drag video clips into Final Cut or Premiere and then play them, and then that's how it gets spit into here. There is not an example of it on this particular screenshot, though, so I can't show you.
Hi. On the very rare off chance that the podcast or the patch does go down, how do you find out that it's gone down? Are you watching the stream? Are you getting information?
Usually
from
from Twitter.
system?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is from Twitter. I've always wondered that.
By the way, thank you to everyone who tweets me that something's wrong. I'd never see it till after the show. So thank you, but I never see it till it's too late.
The internet actually went down my first week on the job, and I was next to the laptop that handles the stream, and it has, a little light up thing for broadcasting and a light up for recording. It was like my third day, and I looked over, and it was blinking. I think I went, hey, Blaine, is this supposed to be blinking? And Kara went, what? And they're like, the internet's down. Oh! And I was just like...
A solid blue arrow is good. A blinking blue arrow means shit is fucked up.
I mean, it was...
Really quickly, when it is down, do you guys just keep going on the podcast?
We have to keep going because the percentage of live viewers is really small compared to the percentage of viewers who get either the audio or the recorded video version. It's like, seriously, the people who watch it live are like 0.1% of the total viewers.
Gus knows when shit's going down because I'm up and around, walking around. And
like crazy.
When Ryan's on the podcast, does he scare you like he does the AH guys?
Ryan's just a big teddy bear. Ryan's fine. Ryan and I get along. Ryan and I have some similar ideas.
I was curious about formatting. Do y'all use digital tape, main DVD, or direct to hard drive? And do y'all keep in archive?
Direct to hard drive.
Yeah, it's all direct to hard drive. We don't use any tape system at all. So they talked about with the laptop that has the recording and the broadcast. Like this laptop ingests the feed and then writes a video file and then takes that feed and also sends it out to the internet. And yeah, we archive. We have every video and every bit of audio ever that we've ever done.
Yeah.
We have a ton of external hard drives, even going back to the audio podcast days of just audio files.
And we have separate audio going to my computer so that if for whatever reason that laptop goes down, we'll still be able to have an audio podcast of what was said.
That's another interesting point. We do record a video stream which has audio in it, but then there's a second like redundant audio copy going on.
Okay. Follow up to that. How different would the live show mix be from the one that goes out to everyone?
When I first started, the audio mix was much better than the video because I could manipulate the audio in GarageBand. So that was one of the things that I did when I first started was working on the audio system. Now that we have the new mic system and Clayton has tweaked the board, um, the the video audio is just as good as the GarageBand file.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last question.
Get off my property.
Yeah.
So for the patch, you have a very strict deadline. You have about an hour and then you're done. For the regular podcast, is that your decision? Like when you get sick of listening to everybody, or do you guys kind of say, "All right, Gus, wrap it up. We're kind of done here."
No, you never tell Gus to end anything.
I make a judgment call on it. I felt like for a long time we would just talk until we felt tired and we were done. But that's when we entered the range where podcasts started going over 2 hours. I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. We can't be doing this. So when we started the patch, I said, we're going to be diligent about this. It's only 1 hour. And then since we have this extra hour of podcast in the week, I'm going to start pulling back RT podcasts.
You can tell when you get sick of the broadcast. Yeah.
Right. So normally I try to keep it at about 90 minutes now. It's not a hard, fast rule. Although, Kara, I have a bone to pick with you. There are some nights when Kara's tired, and right at 90 minutes, she wants to go home. If you ever watch the video podcast, and if at 90 minutes, the podcast starts living in the wide shot, that's Kara's message to me saying, wrap it up. I'm in the final shot. Get out of here. And I see, I'm like, why are we in the fucking wide? We're still talking here.
That's a weird point. Is if we are in the wide and mid show for like a weird amount of time, it means that one of the cameras is a problem and we're fixing it.
Uh-huh. That's like the go-to if anything.
Don't tell all our secrets.
All right, thanks, man. All right, well, I think we're at time. We got to wrap it
Yeah,
up.
wait. One thing I do want to mention is, and I'm surprised nobody asked this, that we do have some other shows planned coming to you guys. And one of the shows that Gus and I are really excited about bringing to you is that we are working on a game show.
Surprise!
Yeah. So that's been in the works for a while now.
Yeah.
We've got some equipment in that we're excited about, and we're putting that together. So, and it's going to involve interaction from Twitter. So you'll get to play along. So we're really excited about that. So look for that coming soon.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, good lord.
Whoa.
Jesus. Why?